Hello everyone, Brendan McCauley here with the Theology of the Body Institute. In today's video, I'd like to share a little bit about my experience of being in a fraternity and being Catholic. If you're new to this channel, I first want to invite you to like and subscribe. That way, you'll be up to date with all the new videos we'll be posting here soon. So a little bit about me. I'm currently the Director of Formation and Men's Ministry at St. Thomas More Catholic Student Center at Washington State University. And no joke, I'm not kidding you. We're located right on Greek Row. No joke. Here's the church, and right next door is a fraternity, a fraternity, a fraternity. So we've gotten to know a lot of the guys, we're neighbors with them, and yes, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night come, and the parties are booming. The music is loud with explicit language, binge drinking, and who knows what else. We'll be sitting in Mass at 5 o'clock, and the church will be shaking because of the music is so loud. And so we have to go and tell them, hey, can you guys keep it down for a little bit, just for an hour? It's pretty crazy. But I actually joined a fraternity when I came here to WSU in 2014 to study business marketing. It was like the first thing I did. Why do people join fraternities and sororities? Well, I think there's a couple good reasons. One, they promote brotherhood and sisterhood. So you get to know a lot of people. They're pretty confident people. They do well in school, and they're pretty successful outside of school when they're done with college. But I think a lot of reasons why people join the fraternity scene and sororities is for the big party scene on the weekend. I don't think they promote a life what I would call heroism, but one of hedonism on the weekends. What's the difference? Well, heroism is all about becoming like Christ, becoming a hero, courageous, brave, to love radically, which is to will the good of others. In the words of Christ, I think to be a hero is to say, this is my body given up for you. Hedonism is the exact opposite. Hedonism is all about pleasure seeking. It's all about self-indulgence for one's own self. It's all about, that's your body and I want to grasp it for my own selfish pleasure. Totally the opposite. And I was participating in this lifestyle, but I wanted to be Catholic. I wanted to go to Mass on Sundays, and I told all my fraternity brothers that I'm Catholic. But I'll never forget, after partying on a Friday, I was walking back to my dorm, and the church is on Greek Row, so I had to walk by the church. And as I was walking by, I stopped. I turned into the window and I saw the tabernacle. Looked up at the stars. You know what happens when you look up at the stars at night? You start to think. I looked back at the tabernacle and I'm thinking, Brendan, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was living a double life, obviously. And I had to ask myself the question then and there, what's the life that I want to live? Who's the man that I want to become? And I decided I wanted to live a heroic life like Christ. And that doesn't happen with a flip of the switch. It happens for our entire life, and I'm still working on it. But a couple things that I had to do were get rid of some of my friends that weren't promoting a life of heroism, but one of hedonism. And it didn't mean I avoided them entirely, but it just meant that I couldn't spend all of my time with them. And I needed to start surrounding myself by a community that promotes a life of heroism. And that was in the Catholic community. And what I learned pretty quickly was that it was so freeing. The people that I met here at St. Thomas More were deeply authentic. And I looked back on my fraternity years of the party scenes, and it wasn't authentic. It was superficial. When you enter a party, the music is so loud you can't even talk to people. You just kind of nod your head at one another. You don't really talk to them. And I recognized that's what's happening. People aren't getting to know one another. And honestly, when I look back, it's pretty horrific how people are dancing. And I was participating in this. To be completely blunt with you, how people are dancing in fraternities and sororities here, it's like having sex with clothes on. It's that bad. And I remember when I saw one of those parties my junior and senior year, after I was really entering into my Catholic faith, I was really repulsed by it. Because I was like, this isn't fulfilling. They are wanting something more. like I said before, we meet a lot of fraternity guys, and I'll never forget this one guy said this. He came to us and he said, I'm sleeping with many women during the week, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to be faithful to my wife one day. And that's him being honest. He should be afraid. There's something I need to change. And so we've seen that from a lot of the guys that I need to grow up. I need to grow up. And I'll say this. These are a lot of the fraternities and sororities around the world, but there are good fraternities and sororities. Some of them, I don't think they call them fraternities and sororities, but they're at Franciscan University. They're called households, kind of like the Catholic fraternity, Catholic sororities. They promote a life of genuine heroism, authenticity, etc. And so I just like to share with you one last story that happened a couple weeks ago that I think kind of summarizes the fraternity life, but then also helps us to know how to evangelize those in fraternities and sororities. This was 2 weeks ago, and it was St. Augustine's feast day on a Saturday night. It's a Saturday night, so the fraternities are booming. I'll never forget, the next day, me and my roommate were talking. He's like, Brendan, Greek Row was celebrating St. Augustine's life, his past life. This is what the fraternities and sororities are doing. They're promoting St. Augustine's past life, one of hedonism. And for him, it was particularly in the area of sexual pleasure, addiction to sexual pleasure. And St. Augustine said this brilliant line, and I think it summarizes it all. A man who is lost in his passions is less lost than the man who has lost passion. A lot of the fraternities are passionate, but they're aiming their passions towards finite pleasures that will never satisfy. And that's what St. Augustine was doing. And a lot of the guys I've talked to in fraternities are, my Catholic upbringing wasn't very attractive. There wasn't a whole lot of passion involved. And so the fraternities and sororities, they're hungry. They're starving for love and for union. But St. Augustine's conversion was not squashing his passions, but it was the reorientation of his passions to what fulfills Jesus, the wedding feast of the Lamb. And so this is what we need to be promoting when we evangelize those in the party scenes, not to squash their passions, but to open them more widely, to open them, to orient them to the wedding feast of the Lamb, Christ himself. And so if you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to share it with any family or friends, subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.